Mr. Piramal, we were talking about sources of capital that is available for industries, big and small, especially the smaller industries, the SMEs. In volatile times, we have seen the NBFCs playing a big role, lending a hand to smaller companies who don't enjoy the AAA rating. Mr. Deepak Parekh recently said that the arbitrage that the shadow banks had earlier vis-a-vis banks is going. So perhaps it's now time to revisit that argument that big NBFCs should get converted and maybe even corporates get a look in to banks.
I think we'll have to really look at how do we want to do banking in the future. We talked about today credit growth being about 9% over the last few years. We are all convinced that India needs to grow at least 8% GDP, which is in real terms. So if you look at credit growth, must be about 18%. If we don't do that, we will not be able to reach our targets of 5 trillion of an economy. Our banks in India, we have just probably 30 or 40 large banks compared to the US, which has almost 4,000 banks. So we need to have more banking. We are supposed to have banking on tap, and that was announced in 2016. There's not been a single banking license which has been given on tap since then. So we'll have to relook at it, and after a certain size, I don't see NBFCs growing bigger because you need a permanent source of funding available. Today, we have to deepen the debt markets. We'll have to allow public deposits and put restrictions. I think when Mr. Parekh talked about the arbitrage, it was the regulations that were coming in for NBFC and banks, which is good. Let's do that. But let's also get the advantages of banking, which are there for some of the NBFCs.
But the permanent worry is that money is fungible, intergroup transfers. How do you monitor? That's been the perennial worry.
I agree. So let there be more transparency, let there be more regulation. I think that should happen. But that doesn't mean we don't have banking for large groups. Because in India, you do need promoters to be behind banks. Because as you know, cash is the only raw material for banks. So who will provide that? It's when you have a stable promoter base.
Mr. Mehta.